A former maid exposed the famous Prince Charming's boastful behavior in public. And he is now known worldwide as a corrupt privileged son of a crown. See the whole video to learn why Prince Andrew's former maid revealed his true nature. It all makes sense now. He didn't grow bad. He was always a bad person. Charlotte Briggs aspired to serve the royal family. She believed that showing love will always result in positive outcomes. But this time, she was wrong. Charlotte didn't realize that sometimes poisonous situations can cause a snake egg to come out, despite loving care. This occurred in Prince Andrew's case. She entered Prince Andrew's world at 21, expecting the glitter of palace halls and royal service, but ended up with a job nobody wanted. The rationale was straightforward. The Duke of York, once portrayed as affable, was really seen to be arrogant by his staff inside the glossy walls of Buckingham Palace. Out of control and rude. In an interview with the Daily Mail, she was prompt. She shared all her thoughts about Andrew. "I'm not concerned about Prince Andrew's feelings. He is a cruel man." The phrase used was not intended to soften her words. A heartbreaking account from someone who underwent years of degrading treatment was presented. As her story spread, the world gained an unfiltered view of Andrew's behavior outside of the camera. In her early memories, the Duke was seen as sluggish, entitled, and frequently irritated. According to her perspective, Andrew frequently gave orders for tasks he could have done himself. Curtains became his preoccupation. Briggs assumed responsibility for the heavy floor-to-ceiling draperies, which could be readily drawn by hand. The smallest space between them caused a tantrum, if it could be called a mistake. Andrew burst out of his office, yelling curses down the corridor. "Can't you do anything right?" he yelled, causing the little maid to cry. It provided insight into the daily power system faced by staff. In Andrew's household, even minor faults were not accepted. Punishment hinged on every action. Briggs recalls navigating across rooms with continual fear of being seen. "I did my best to avoid him," she said. His presence was unpredictable. Worse temper. His fury wasn't the only thing that unnerved her. His exaggerated and demeaning demands bordered on the absurd. The most notorious was his collection of plush animals. To outsiders, it appeared like an endearing eccentricity, a grown guy clinging to infancy. Those responsible for maintaining it faced a nightmare. The Duke of York arranged 72 teddy bears, a plush hippo, and a black panther with rigorous military accuracy. No one touched them without direction. Laminated instructions detailed toy arrangement, showing which should be in the back, front, and where his two favorite bears should sit, patrolling his bed. Briggs recounted a day of training on this practice alone. A mistake might lead to one of Andrew's renowned tantrums. He saw his bedroom as a symbol of his vulnerability. After turning the mattress, the royal crest embroidered pillows needed to be exactly centered. He was instructed to arrange his jammies symmetrically. Once displayed, the plush animals were to be taken before bedtime and returned at daylight. Staff, including Briggs, often questioned the specific man who required this treatment and its significance. Press response was prompt. Later, it depicted a grown prince in a state of arrested development, reliant on young maids for temper control and teddy bear protection. For Briggs, it was serious. It was like walking on eggshells daily, she claimed. The picture of a king crying over drapes and bears contrasted drastically with his public attractiveness. Even bad were his dealings with other servants. Briggs portrayed him as disrespectful to royal personnel, unlike Charles, Edward, and Prince Philip, who were remembered as respectful and gentlemanly. Andrew had a unique level of brutality. It's not like she extracted these stories from her hair. Other former employees reported similar information. To remind her of her place, one ex-maid had to dash across the room to close drapes while Andrew was standing next to her. He was described as chilly and condescending in even the simplest conversations. However, the superfluous nature of these revelations made them much more painful. Andrew was not burdened by his siblings' responsibilities. He was not destined to rule. Despite his ceremonial or indulgent function, he commanded worship from those below him. The truth exposed by Charlotte Briggs goes beyond a man's rage or immature peculiarities. The topic was pattern. He enjoyed humiliating others, viewed service as surrender, and created a toxic climate that made working in the palace unpleasant. And this was just the start. Actually, no. Not the start. Charlotte was aware of something about Andrew. It all began at an early age. Andrew's character was distinct from his siblings from the start, and not in a positive way. While Charles was quiet and intellectual, and was headstrong but capable, while Andrew was depicted as a less innocent character. Palace personnel and royal monitors observed a pattern of harshness in his behavior as a youngster. To gain attention, he regularly manipulated and tormented individuals who couldn't fight back. He first enjoyed provoking the Queen's stone-faced guards. When most children would shy away, Andrew strolled past them, ridiculing their tight posture and pulling faces to destroy their poise. Angered by their inaction, he escalated his behavior to gain their attention. This was not innocent mischief. A youngster believed no rules applied to him, even the silent punishment of men defending his family. However, his true ruthlessness was shown when he was not against others. His rotten temper also affected animals. According to accounts, he would kick the family dogs, laugh when they yelped, and hit horses' legs with sticks for fun. The royal grooms were so appalled by the behavior that they took action. Upon seizing the young prince, they buried him headfirst in a pile of horseshit and covered him with fresh excrement, just as he relished inflicting dirt on others. It was a harsh sentence, but one they believed he deserved. Several times, servants broke royal decorum to correct him. On another occasion, his persistent teasing caused a palace footman to retaliate. After striking the youngster hard, he left him with a black eye. The footman resigned, expecting swift firing, but the Queen rejected it. She recognized Andrew's brutality and justified correction, even if it came from her servant. His nastiness extended beyond personnel and animals. With his younger brother Edward, Andrew turned every interaction into a competition. He openly bullied him, stealing cakes, pushing him, and causing bruises. It was not sibling fun. It dominated. The image depicted a boy enjoying the pleasure of superiority and constantly asserting his control. At school, his reputation reeked. Classmates called him Baby Grumpling for his tantrums and the Snigger for his mocking laughs at others' expense throughout Prep and Gordontown. He was not the pleasant royal some expected. He acted as a pampered, pompous, and constantly ridiculing brat. Even as he aged, his mentality remained undeveloped. It got worse. He was rumored to pull female staff's clothes and yell at them to smell the food during palace gatherings. It was the behavior of a bully, not a prince. During camping outings, he was accused of sabotaging shelters by taking down fly sheets and throwing them into rivers, causing. Instead, he tossed objects and shouted profane demands, such as, "Pick that up." To staff used to discipline, control, and decorum, the boy's language was stunning. They perceived him as a small spoiled ruler, not a mischievous youngster. When Andrew was old enough to wear a uniform, his reputation was well established within palace gates. He was neither as attractive as Charles or as strong as Anne. The personnel feared dealing with him. The child was deemed insufferable. A boy who viewed fun as cruelty, respect as dominance, and arrogance as more pronounced with age. They wanted him to grow out of it. Unfortunately, the situation worsened. In the late 1990s, Andrew's public persona began to crumble. The scandals involved more than just rumors of rage. It was about money, women, and an unmistakable attitude. While his brother Charles attempted to reinvent himself following Diana's death, Andrew regressed into behaviors that would affect him permanently. One of the initial cracks involved his financial relationships. His extravagant spending, spurred by royal privileges, caused conflict with his reckless economic enterprises. He was accused of making deals with questionable figures, including men under investigation abroad. The royals hid most of these stories, but rumors of cash-for-access schemes persisted. A series of little favors for friends led to claims that Andrew was exploiting his royal title by arranging meetings for businesses for huge sums. The palace denied it, but the paper trail persisted. In addition to money, he became obsessed with younger ladies. Following his divorce from Sarah Ferguson, Andrew struggled to overcome the stereotype of a middle-aged guy pursuing younger women. He revealed relationships with thousands of young models and socialites. According to his driver, he witnessed nearly 10 women entering and exiting his Bangkok residence. The situation was both embarrassing and disturbing for the family. For decades, journalists referred to him as Randy Andy, turning the Queen's son into a tabloid joke. Even in the palace, aides expressed his inability to avoid improper company. He became pals with Jeffrey Epstein, a notorious figure. Andrew was seen many times before Epstein's arrest, including in his New York residences, Caribbean estate, and private jet. Photos of Andrew walking with Epstein following his first prison sentence sparked concerns about his mental health. Unable to respond. The issue went beyond the association. Braveness was his trait. Andrew, unlike other powerful men, defended his friendship with Epstein, calling him a devoted friend and denying any remorse. That one decision would ruin him later. However, Epstein wasn't his only concern. Staff kept a private list of grievances behind royal gates. Maids reported being regarded like servants in medieval courts, rather as employees in modern households. One maid recounted Andrew forcing her to run up 7 flights of stairs to close drapes inches away from him. She described the assault as persistent, verbal, humiliating, and intended to shatter them. Another said he screamed over a tiny error with his teddy bears, stating that only he could touch them. His treatment of the Queen's staff earned him the nickname, Prince of Darkness, in private. Andrew not only gave commands but also humiliated people. Gardeners reported his chastising them for misplaced leaves. According to drivers, he would yell at a 5-minute late automobile. One ex-equerry described working with Andrew as being a human punching bag. The press gained access to these long-buried accounts, each revealing a worse picture. The public got glimpses of this entitlement throughout his global travels. As Britain's trade envoy, he was expected to represent the nation with respect. His behavior was described as berating foreign personnel, disrespecting waiters, and demanding accommodations that resembled dictators, not diplomats. He allegedly caused a hotel staffer to cry at an event in the Middle East by yelling over the temperature of his suite. Diplomats traveling with Andrew acknowledged that cleaning up his tantrums was part of their job. His personal life simply increased disdain. Following Sarah Ferguson's transgressions, such as receiving money for introductions to Andrew, their relationship became poisonous. They lived together, separated but not divorced, enjoying royal privileges despite the disgrace they caused the crown. Critics alleged they utilized their titles as a cloak for misconduct that would have damaged their reputations. Andrew had a downward spiral in the early 2000s. He was not respected like Charles, admired like Anne, or tolerated like Edward. He faced scorn. His nickname changed from Randy Andy to Air Miles Andy due to his frequent usage of government funds for unnecessary travel. Again, the image was negative. A man living in luxury, unaware of his isolation in a Britain facing economic injustice. Every year, more royal insiders made their presence known. The individual was described as obsessed with status, seeking celebrity attention and lacking self-awareness. He was an outsider during family gatherings due to his arrogance. Diana reportedly stated that Andrew was the least intelligent but most entitled of the Queen's sons. Interestingly, even her critics agreed. All warning indications were present. Issues include entitlement, rage, destructive relationships, and wasteful spending. But nobody stopped him. With his mother's unflinching devotion, Andrew hid from consequences until Epstein's world crashed, dragging him along. At that time, the prince was viewed as a darker figure rather than a privileged royal. The scandal that followed would damage Andrew's reputation and irrevocably damage his position in the royal family. The turning point occurred in 2010. Jeffrey Epstein was recently freed from prison for recruiting minors. The majority of powerful persons fled him. The reverse happened with Andrew. Photographs show him walking around Central Park with Epstein, laughing despite the scandal. The image was a bombshell. For the first time, the public witnessed the Queen's son walking beside a convicted sex offender. Virginia followed. In 2015, her name achieved widespread prominence. The victim said that Epstein trafficked her as a teenager, with Andrew being one of the guys she was compelled to have. She reported meeting him 3 times. She often claimed that Epstein's partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, planned it. The most damaging evidence was an image. Andrew holds 17-year-old Joy into his arm. Background: Ghislaine smiling. Andrew denied. He said he never met her. He claimed the photo was false, but specialists found no alteration. Denying made him appear more desperate. Palace panicked. For years, they shielded him with vague remarks and relied on the Queen's authority to quiet opposition. But the evidence grew. The flight logs indicate Andrew was traveling with Epstein. They were seen together in London, New York, and the Caribbean, according to witnesses. Detailed cuts delved into the royal facade. In 2019, pressure reached a breaking point. Andrew agreed to a BBC interview to clarify his identity. The interview that followed was one of the worst in royal history. His ludicrous excuses made him a global joke. Claimed he met Judy at a Pizza Express in Woking with his daughter, not a London nightclub. He recounted the detail as a plausible alibi, ignorant of its absurdity. The internet's meme explosion turned a serious accusation into a circus. After that, the sweating comment was made. Jew reported that Andrew excessively